A lot of people say, oh, we're selling memes on t-shirts.
Sorry, what was the question?
How do you transition from a meme page to a clothing brand?
I think it was the moment where you were able to quit your job.
Yeah,
And
that was like 4 years into the
because
business.
it was my full-time thing. Like 2 years before, it was a Euro full-time thing. And when you were able to quit your job, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I'm going to do.
Hi, I'm Dominic.
Aleks.
Yeah, we run dogecore.com. You can find us at dogecore.net, dogecore.com online. There's an E in there somewhere. I don't know what to say.
We started as a meme page back in 2012.
It was 2009 actually.
2009? I wasn't alive back then. We started as a doc meme page and just started building that as a sort of community, just posting there. And at some point it just grew into a place where we had enough audience to actually express ourselves, both artistically and like in a funny way.
A lot of people make the mistake of trying to find a niche that they think is what will essentially something they can capitalize on. And the thing that they miss is that whatever they do in life, unless they're really boring people, that is their niche. And they're the people that, you know it better than anyone else. Like I really like gardening personally. If I wanted to get into making a business that was separate from dogecore, I'd probably go down that route because it's what I know, rather than trying to copy things that you think will work because it will most likely come across as ungenuine.
For us, it was like this way where we went running this page and a community around it for like 10, 11 years.
1,000 years. Okay, maybe not 1,000.
Yeah, before we actually made a store out of it.
We were doing it for fun because we enjoyed doing it.
Yes, it's definitely not United States, and after that it's like Australia, Canada. In Europe it's mostly Germany and of course United Kingdom.
Sadly, as the business grew, we'd already had contact with all these different countries, and then just as you sell more, your things get seen and they get spoken about, and then things sort of snowball in the right direction, which is what's sort of happening with us now.
What do people usually do when you do these tours?
I mean, what have people done in the past? We've seen some of your other videos that you've made.
Ask Andres.
Just be yourself.
Yeah,
and be
just
happy.
Be yourself.
I don't think anyone wants to see that. I'm not exactly famous for being cheerful. 99% of all our reviews on Trustpilot are positive, and same with our product reviews through Shopify. But the best ones are the negative ones, because if we get a negative review, which is super rare, I mean, we're talking like, what, we get one bad review a year?
Basically, every single year during Christmas, we get one really bad review about someone who orders something too late.
Like someone who orders a week before Christmas and is angry that it's not there before Christmas Day, and then asking for a refund, and you know that you can't fix it because, you know, essentially it's something they've done. It's myself that usually replies to all the reviews. So usually I use that as a creative writing exercise to just write some hilarious, well, I like to think it's funny anyway,
yes, it's
angry
funny.
reply from myself explaining what's happened, why I think they're wrong. But most of the time, like if there's an issue, someone can email us and we'll fix it. We'll go out of our way to fix it, even if it means losing money, because we'd rather have happy customers than the additional profits. And I think that's worked out really well for us.
We earn very good money making this. Just like you.
Are you happy?
Every day I wake up screaming.
And the nightmare begins.
Every single product page is basically like a related story about it.
I try and write a story for every single design, because I just really like creative writing.
Yeah, and
So
we hate Printful stock descriptions.
It kind of gives lore to the brand and gives it a bit of world building and depth that most stores just don't really have. I can't remember the question anymore.
I do. Don't worry. Basically, it was how to be funny
on
the internet.
I think it goes back to sort of authenticity. People know when you're using stock information to sell a product. If you're not taking the time to sort of at least rewrite a stock description of a product, I don't want to say it was lazy, but there's just so many t-shirt shops out there that put in like the minimum effort, and it doesn't build trust with the brand, I think.
It is lazy. Like,
yeah.
There's so many stores right now with stock mock-ups, with the stock descriptions.
All selling that stuff. Creative writing is something I've always been interested in from when I was a kid, and I started picking it back up again when I started writing the marketing emails, and then I started enjoying it again. And then suddenly it's like, I want to write a story for every single product, and the gratification you get from knowing that people are reading that is Um,
And actually engage with it,
and
reply
engage
to
with it,
it.
reply to it, and like it. Personal touch is it allows people to know we're not just a faceless corporation. I like it when I go on a website and you go to the about page and there's just a couple of images of the people that run it and a bit about them.
Yep.
It gives it like a human touch that is quite void in a lot of online marketplaces.
I guess there's somewhere in this rant there is some kind of advice about staying true to yourself.
Yeah, believe in yourself and live, laugh, love.
You can, you can do everything you want.
We want to be able to be like, this is our brand, this is what you're purchasing, and you're dealing with us too. We do everything apart from obviously print and ship the t-shirts themselves.
It's thrilling. I'm so excited right now. Please.
This is boring. Can I go?
Is there any games on
Can I go home?
We chose print on demand because we were absolutely broke at the time and we had no money to actually invest in products.
No room for stock.
No room for storage.
No understanding of international
perfect
shipping.
quality.
We also didn't know if anyone was going to buy anything.
Yes, so just starting without any risks with print on demand was the best option.
Do you know that this is actually the first time I'm going to see the Village Idiot hat in real life? I would love to send like clown music playing in the background.
I'll do it.
Yes, thank you. Like a circus beat.
I'll do that.
We ignored all of our tax things for the first year until we had to, and then when we got an accountant, he was like, "You need to fix all of this."
Yes,
And
we
that
went,
was scary because we were just like, I don't know what taxes. So taxes, I mean, obviously personal taxes. I'm talking about business stuff.
Yes,
So I would recommend anyone talk to an accountant.
seek help.
But because of the way the business is structured, that it's English company run by a European and English guy that has
After Brexit.
Well, it was before Brexit.
Yeah, it was
But
before Brexit.
We're selling internationally, and it was just most accountants would not touch us, or they expected to pay a fortune. But luckily, I found a very good team in Manchester that were able to sit down with us, well, with myself, and learn about what we were doing and managed to help us considerably, and they still do.
Yes.
We'd be kind of screwed without those guys.
Yes, but after that first year, when we got the accountant and we had to fix a lot of things, we went like 6 months without paychecks to just cover for everything.
Oh, forgot about that. Yeah.
I did not. Yeah, and I would wait a couple of years, seeing how your business runs before quitting your job.
No, quit your job, sell your car, remortgage your house.
Death is coming, so
Yeah.
yeah.